I'm sitting here today contemplating life, the future of the egg, life. And, when I started the egg, this is the egg, by the way. I'm John Spade, the spiel. For those people that are actually clicking and looking at the link, it was me. Yeah, I'm really funky today, and I mean, there's a lot of things going on in my life right now. My wife is in the hospital. Can't do much for her right now, so came home to sort of decompress a little. And when you have a lot of time on your hands, you tend to think about things. And of course, I did an egg 2 days ago that I thought was pretty controversial in the way I labeled it. The content, not so much. I mean, obviously, I'm all about moving forward as society, and I love to engage human rights, and the plight of homosexuals around the world can't be understated, and how difficult it is, and especially when you have children who are killing themselves because they can't deal with the pressure of that. Anyways, it was kind of upsetting to me. I'm going to be honest. I didn't get response that I expected to. In fact, it flatlined. The least responded to egg that I've done almost since I started. And it makes you think, am I just spinning my wheels? What is the purpose of me sitting here in front of the camera every day, every other day, to talk about events in the world and to share my ideas with people? And I think about, I do have friends that engage me, and they do watch. And, maybe I could just call them up and go for a drink, and we'll sit at a pub and have these same conversations, and I can stop wasting space on my hard drive. So anyways, funkiness aside, you know what? I'm gonna plug through, because I do get response from people, and it is good. And I shouldn't let sort of my funkiness today dictate any decisions I'm going to make that could affect the future of the egg. And who knows? I have no visions of grandeur. While I am slightly narcissistic, enough so that I can sit here in front of the camera and talk about whatever comes to my mind. I'm not really looking at, is this a vehicle to make me famous or rich and famous? I'm just, I guess, my wife probably put it the most eloquently. She did an interview with a coworker that's taking journalism here in Calgary, and sort of, I guess the premise was around me and who I am, and who do I think I am? And the way she put it was almost to my detriment. I have ideas about the world and the way it works, and that I have this burning need for there to be a justice in the world. And because of that, I have a tendency to speak my mind. I'm not always politically correct. And I think for myself, life is too short. I want people to know where I come from, and I know I offend people, and I know people, and I get, because of the feedback I get, it's like, oh my God, I couldn't do what you do. I couldn't put my ideas out there to have people know that I feel that way about something or this way. And, they're probably onto something, because I think at times that I am so opinionated about stuff that I actually do alienate. And I can come to those conclusions based on the lack of participation I have, or the lack of willingness that friends have to publicly state how they felt about something on my pages. Anyways, it's me contemplating and trying to be as honest as I can in front of the camera. And maybe, I think about where the egg's been and how it has progressed. And, I look back at some of the other ones where I'm trying to punch out this delivery and, yelling to the camera, and because I get so fired up. And I wonder if that is maybe, a bad choice as far as what I'm doing. Because I said to myself, this always has to be an honest and true representation of who I am, sitting here in front of the camera. And maybe that's what I need to get back to. Today I want to talk about socialism and unions. And you can see where the lines can be drawn on this. I was watching an excellent documentary today. I'm going to post the link up. My brother sent it to me. And it's about, the advent of technology, where we're going, how science and computers are really pushing us forward into the 21st century. But, my idea is we are moving forward technologically, but as a race of people, we're moving backwards because we're not engaged. We don't want to be engaged. And we're going to a very simple, primal way of life where we need what we need, and that's all that matters. And we're not so focused. And people can say, hey, you know what? I made my check out to Haiti for $5, and I'm a true humanitarian. But what got me thinking about it was I was at the hospital today, and I'm looking around, and here's a system that's broken. I mean, we know the system in our city's broken, and around the world. I mean, the only hospitals, I guess, that maybe aren't broken are the ones that are for profit, but then they're not really helping people anymore. It's more about business. The irony of what I'm talking about here, though, is that our hospital, the one I was at today specifically, is all about business. They're there to make money. And anybody that says they're not there to make money is fooling themselves, because there are a chain. There are people that are connected to the chain in the hospital that are making money, and it's profit driven. Granted, our government isn't making money on it, and we're probably maybe not paying enough money into it so that we're running a deficit. And then, we've got the fat cats, the super board that we have here in our city, in our province, I should say, who are all making 6 figures plus to basically dictate policy in hospitals. And man, I'm telling you, the system's broken. I look around the surroundings of the hospital, and it's dirty. It's in dire need of repairs. And it's a very depressing place, especially when you consider that this is a place where you go to get fixed. So you go through a pretty traumatic surgery, and you're put in an environment that is, honestly, if I could, I've never been to Russia, but that's the image that I have in my head, sitting there in the hospital room, looking around how dreary it is, thinking this is Russia. This is, very dark and cold and not a friendly place at all. And everything else I look at, it's a chain. Everybody relies on everybody else to get things done. It's mostly unionized within the hospital walls. And here are people that only their function is to do one task. They don't think outside the box. They're not willing to go out above and beyond, because ultimately they're there to get a paycheck. And I understand the fight for survival. I get that. But at what cost do we stop being human beings? I'll use an example of what happened to me this morning. I went looking for an ice pack for my wife. And I walk up to the desk, and there's a woman sitting there. I don't know if she's a nurse or a doctor. I mean, I'm not sure how you would identify people like this. And I go, hey, is there somewhere where I can get a new ice pack? And she looks at me and she points. She doesn't respond. She points over. And I look over and I'm thinking, okay, I don't see an ice machine. What she was pointing at was there was another woman sitting down at the end, and she wanted me to go talk to her, to ask her this very simple question. And I looked at her and I realized, okay, so you're a doctor, and that's not your, to even answer a question or to deal with somebody like me, it's not in your job description. Now, doctors, as far as being unionized, I'm not sure. They've got a lot on their plate, absolutely. It was a whole part of the chain that I realized everything is so completely broken, and we're putting money into a system that, is it helping people? I think, yeah. For the most part, people that go to the hospital get fixed up, come out, and they're fixed. I can assume people die in the hospital every day. It's in the news now. They're talking about where, we're on the verge of a catastrophic failure as far as our healthcare system goes, as far as our hospitals go. There's a reason for this, and it's the chain. And you look at the bureaucrats that sit at the top that make the decisions, who are sort of supposed to be in charge, and they're not paying attention anymore because they think the system is fine the way it is. It isn't. It's broken. They bring my wife her lunch today. The food is terrible. It's a hospital. The food choices should be healthier, and it isn't. And it's a joke. Everybody jokes about, oh, how bad hospital food is. Why is hospital food bad? Can anybody tell me? Because if we look at the billing for food for a hospital, it's staggering. For one person to stay in a hospital today, we're talking it's a couple $100 to make meals for the day. It's somewhere in that area, yet the food they present to you is a couple of dollars at most in subpar, not healthy alternative food. It just simply isn't. What I found staggering and really appalling to me is I opened up the tray, and the tray itself, they've got little inserts that go inside it, but the tray itself was filthy. It was dirty, like visibly. Like I took my finger and ran it inside and left a visible fingerprint from where all the dirt was. You know, so I'm not sure what the storage. And you look at the people that are, they're like drones. They come in and they put the food down and they move on to the next person. And, you know, they work for a union. They're making X amount of dollars and they really don't care. They're not getting paid to care. And this is the sort of, you know, so when I talk about technology is moving us forward, we have all these advancements, but we're going back and, you know, to a point where really it's every person for themselves, and people can say that they care, but you can see it in the way people carry out their jobs. And I've been like that. You know, my last job, butting heads all the time because I couldn't understand. I'm getting paid to do a job. I want to do it to the best of my ability. And that made me a person that rocked the boat and wasn't willing to follow the status quo and, you know, just go with the flow. As I was even told by a boss of mine, you just need to relax and sort of let things go. And that's where we're at. You look, it's rare that you find people that are passionate about their jobs anymore, no matter what the job is. I think if you've got gainful employment, have a little pride, care a little. I don't think it's much to ask. We talk about, you know, I hear people go, oh my God, you know, the worst thing that could ever happen is we could become a socialist society. Well, we kind of have, because the system's so broken that people think it's enough for them to show up and do their job and get paid, and they're protected under this umbrella that is called a union. And I think unions right now are the scourge of the world. They're not helping us to advance. In fact, they're taking us back. And you look at each new generation of people that come up into a union, it's like they get paid a lot of money to do a lot of nothing. And there's no accountability. There's no repercussions for doing a bad job. And I think, you know, we need to fix the system, and maybe it's too late because there's so much apathy in the world that nobody cares enough. I could be wrong. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you have a moment, take 2 seconds out. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.